Okay.
Okay.
Welcome to Gab and the Ghouls, the segment where we gab ghouls before we do our actual podcast, Casual Obsession. This isn't Casual Obsession. This is Gab and the Ghouls, though.
The Gabbinest Ghouls in the West.
Where we talk about movies we've watched since the last time we recorded an episode. So, as is tradition, because Noah watches thousands of movies. Noah, what movies have you been watching?
Emma, I'm so glad that you asked. I have watched, since we last recorded, 25 movies.
Yeah.
So, wait.
Jesus.
Yeah.
We recorded...
Yeah.
2 weeks ago?
2 weeks
Slightly
ago.
over 2 weeks ago.
14 days? 15 days,
Yeah.
maybe?
Yep.
That's a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Now,
Let's not talk about all of those. Let's just get some highlights.
In my defense, and I'm not going to talk about some of them because Nina's going to gab a few of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Nina and I sat down and binged a few movie.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Cool.
Okay.
And as did I, for other reasons that I can't get into yet. Let's see. Shit. Watched Vampire 1932. I was expecting a silent movie. 'Tis not.
You mean Vampire?
Vampire.
Kid Vampire. Sorry. I've been watching a lot of that series on TikTok. I really enjoy it. That's what I've been saying in my head every time that I see the title to this one.
I don't even know what series you're talking about.
It's
Neither
a
do
cute
I.
little animated series about a kid vampire.
Oh.
And it's very fun.
Kid Vampire.
Kid Vampire.
I've seen a comic where it's a kid vampire and their dad is Dracula and the kid is like trendy and is trying to get Dracula to be chill.
It's similar to that.
I was going to say, it sounds almost exactly like the TikTok.
Anyway, Vampire, the 1932 movie.
Yeah, it was really good. I liked it a lot. Oh, geez, how long is it? It's not very long, if memory serves.
Oh. It seems like
is-
silent movies are all like under a half hour long or they're 2 hours.
73 minutes.
Oh, shit. I'm wrong.
73
Now I
minutes,
sound
and
like
it's
an
on
idiot.
Max, so it's actually
And it's
like...
not silent.
It is not silent.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
thought
that's
it was.
why,
Oh.
Jeff.
Okay. Okay.
But it's really good. It's definitely a much... it's a very vibes-based time, and you need to be paying attention to what's happening because most of it does happen without dialogue,
So
so
it's-
there's not a lot to clue you in if you're not watching it.
It's pretty much 10-minute spans of things happening on screen, followed by 30-second increments of vampire lore in a book
Yeah.
being presented to you.
okay.
So, yeah.
It's a good time. I really like it.
Maybe I'll check it out.
Especially Jeff, I think you would dig it. Emma, I think it would be a little slow-paced. I'm not sure if you would enjoy it as much.
I like slow-paced things, but
It's
hate
slow-paced
old
from the
things.
30s.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy it.
I
I
do
didn't
not
like
think
it.
I would
I
like
don't
You
think.
didn't?
No, I didn't really like it that
Oh.
much.
Ooh.
Nina definitely acted like they liked it more right after we
I'm
watched
neutral
it.
on it. I just don't really like old movies that are like
Yeah.
from the 30s. That's too old. Everyone must have their limits on old movies. Mine's around the 60s. No one
That's
knows
about
this.
where my problem is.
I know
as well.
that no one knows this now.
I'm very hit or miss on the 60s.
Well, I watched
I'm
another.
interested in watching them. I just don't.
Okay, let me tell you about There's one question that I know Jeff wants me to talk about, and I'm gonna string it out for a second and tell you about the day that I watched Mandy.
Oh,
Okay.
of course, yes.
I'm not talking about Mandy yet.
Set the stage.
You gotta.
Paint me a picture.
We set the stage.
You were
Noah
just
wakes up early,
working on
gets
your pig
food
farm.
poisoning from gas station coffee, comes home early from work. We're not starting out the day great. I watched the Suicide Squad, the 2021 version, which is really good.
Nice.
I really liked it. It was a lot of fun. It is all the fun that the first movie should have had in it, along with color. Because the first movie had no color in it. It was so
yeah, it was in
desaturated.
black and white because it was 1932, right?
Exactly, yeah. The Suicide Squad. They pronounced the E back then.
Yeah.
Suicide.
Language was just
Suicide
different.
Squaddy. So I watched that, and I have a good time. But as listeners who are in the Discord might know, I posted what should I watch, and I was chosen. Thank you for choosing the Suicide Squad. But then a friend of podcast Dave came in and said, "Have you watched any of some producer who I don't remember the name of?"
Val Luton.
Val Luton, thank you. Have you seen any Val Luton movies? And I'm like, I got no clue what you're talking about. So I look up his shit, and there's a bunch of movies here, and I Walked with a Zombie was the only one available on Tubi. 69 minutes long, and I figure, why not? Why shouldn't I do this? Very good. The whole movie is about colonialism.
Oh, nice.
Colonialism and voodoo in the West Indies.
Hopefully,
it says colonialism is cool. No,
oh no,
it is. There is. Have a sec. Let me read you. So there's a conversation with this woman who is arriving to be the nurse and her carriage driver, who is an older black man, and as part of a greater segment, they're talking about a ship's figurehead, right?
Yeah,
and he's talking about what it used to be attached to, and the line is, the enormous boat that brought the long ago fathers and the long ago mothers of us all chained up to the bottom of the boat. And the woman responds, they brought you to a beautiful place, didn't they? And he responds to her, if you say, miss, if you say.
Ooh.
There are no bones about it in this movie. They talk very, very clearly about what they mean.
Hot damn.
And it's very good. 67 minutes or 69 minutes long. Cannot recommend it enough. It's on Tubi in America. I don't know where else it's going to be in, but it's a fun watch. It's an easy watch. And it doesn't beat around the bush about what it is. But you know, those are the two movies I've watched so far that day. I'm thinking I'm probably done at that point, right? I'm like, whew, what a hard day of working in the I'm sick watching movie mines. And then Nina's like, are we going to watch a movie tonight? And I'm like, oh, you know what? We should watch a movie tonight. And I'm like, you know, because Nina mentioned Mandy, and I'm like, I'm kind of in the mood for Mandy. And Jeff has mentioned Mandy 3 or 4 times now. And I really got to watch Mandy eventually. So we decided to put on Mandy, and I regret to tell you, I did not like Mandy.
Bummer. There is stuff in it.
Was it the
like
pigs?
The what?
Doesn't it have pigs in it?
No.
No, I think that's Pig.
Oh. You can see how I was confused.
There is a character whose name is Fuck Pig.
There is a character whose name is
Of course,
Fuck Pig.
that's
What
what
a
I was
name,
thinking of. Yeah.
There were things that I wanted to like in Mandy.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
In fact, everything about Mandy is very, very much something I should be liking. I loved the soundtrack. I loved the neon. I loved the film grain. I loved the Cenobite biker gang.
But it all just got put together wrong for you? Or
I think it's just that it moved in the front half of the movie. It moved a little too slow. I think that ended up being my issue because I loved everything post title drop. And firstly, baller move putting the title drop an hour and 15 into your movie.
Absolute
what the
center
fuck?
of the movie. Like what?
Fantastic choice. Really, really strong maneuver. Liked that. But I don't know. I just don't know. There was too much room to breathe. We focused on characters a lot of time on like Mandy. And I know nothing about Nick Cage. And it was hard for me to be like engaging with the movie knowing that Nick Cage is my main character in this movie and I'm going to be following him through it. And it was really difficult for me to commit to it after like not getting to know him at all. You know?
I think this is part of something that Noah and I talked about, which is that I really liked Mandy as a character. And I think in an ideal world that doesn't exist, Red would have died at the cult thing. And Mandy would have been the one with the Chromax fucking shit up. That's my ideal world that doesn't exist. I don't know that it would have solved the other problems that I had with the movie. Personally, at the very, very like the thing that I will say, I think it's just not for me. I think it just fundamentally wasn't my thing. I told Noah, I'm like, this is where I have to be honest and say, I think I like conventional, straight to the point storytelling a little too much for Mandy. I like it when things are normal sometimes, and this one just strayed a little too far from my basic tastes for me. But that's me.
Fair enough. See, here I am thinking that the
end.
storytelling is incredibly, incredibly basic because, like, The story
yeah.
has all of what 2 events in it, like
Yeah, but I think that's part of the problem is that I can take a stupid convoluted plot that's moving really fast and has fun when I kind of know what's gonna happen, and I'm kind of like, okay, but it's going really slow, so maybe it's gonna do something really new and interesting with what's gonna happen. But it still pretty much does everything by the book for the story. Visually, it's very different, but story-wise, it's a kind of story I already don't really like. So
fair.
I was like, maybe this kind of visual style with a story that I inherently really enjoy, I'd be down for.
Sure.
I've heard from friend of the podcast, Jacob, that the viewing, which is one of the portions of
Cabinet of
the
Curiosities.
Guillermo del
Yeah, I love it.
They told me that because that's another Panos Cosmatos.
Yep.
And they said that I should definitely check that out because they think it's a lot more accessible than this.
Yes, absolutely it is.
But I think there's just I've seen another Panos Cosmatos film before, and it was Beyond the Black Rainbow, a movie that I distinctly do believe I misunderstand and don't get, but also I did not like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll return to it someday. I purchased the movie sight unseen because a podcast I followed had talked it up. And I'll probably return to Mandy at some point. I just need to be in the right headspace for it.
I think it gains
I don't know.
a good bit from a rewatch personally, but I've watched it like a million times because I love it. So like that's me.
Yeah, because I think if I watched it again now, I wouldn't be sitting here wondering when do things happen. I wouldn't be sitting here wondering where what the timeline is, because I think that's the biggest issue with watching something that like is 2 hours long and it crawls through those 2 hours.
Yeah.
Is if you don't know where it's going, it can be a little difficult. Absolutely in love with all the imagery from the last 30 minutes though. Like
God,
holy shit.
Right? It's
That wooden church that burns down. Holy shit. With the big music. Holy shit. Hugely
That's,
good time
one of the
on
boys
that
from
front.
Sun playing that guitar.
Oh, really?
Yep.
He didn't die, did he?
No, not Johan Johansson. He wasn't in Sun. It's Stephen O'Malley,
Okay.
I think.
Okay, so I actually, while listening to this, was like, shit, is this Sun? Did they get Sun to score this movie?
Right? Literally twice now, I have been watching a movie and have thought to myself, hey, that sounds an awful lot like Sun. And then the credits rolled, and it turns out that it was one of the guys from Sun. It's Mandy and The Devil's Candy, both.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah,
Devil's
that makes a whole lot
Candy
of sense.
actually.
Oh, and here
credits
I
them
was
as
watching
Sun.
this the whole time, thinking to myself, wow, this has Devil's Candy vibes, but it's not as fun to me as Devil's Candy is, so...
Me
It's
with
because
my
part of the
getting
soundtrack
big
has one of the
beyond the
Sun
black
guys on it.
rainbow vibes.
That'll do it. I love Devil's Candy. I can't wait to talk
God, it's
about
so
it.
good. We've got to cover it sometime.
I pitched in the server. I don't know if anyone other than Noah saw this, but after we're done with our current theme, I would like to do Devil's Candy.
Hell yeah.
It's my turn to gabagool. Shut
Yeah,
the
that's
fuck up, Noah.
That's all my movies. Well, it's not all my movies.
He's got more, but we're not going to talk about them.
Oh, I wish I had talked about this.
Nope. Too late. We're moving on.
Or that one.
We watched all the Planet of the Apes movies.
Woo!
The newer
Let's
ones.
go.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so
from-
you still haven't watched the original, like the Charlton Heston one?
No, I've not
No.
seen the very original, but
No, but
nor have I seen-
2011.
Okay.
Yes.
2011 to now,
To-
we have
to
seen all
present.
4.
I haven't
Yes.
seen the one that like just came out, but
It's
the-
fine.
It's fun.
But
the-
actually,
the trilogy is great, and I love it.
yes.
Mhm.
That is my takeaway was this is doing an incredibly like by the books kind of story as far as tropes and where it went with everything, but it did it really, really well. And it kind of shows like why those tropes are in place because they are effective when done well. And I think the trilogy especially really executed everything it was trying to do pretty much perfectly. So I really enjoyed it. They look great. Every one of the 3 movies had a point in it that I was like, oh, these movies rock. And they all 3 had a point where I'm like, why am I watching this shit? Like tears running down my face. Like, whose idea was it to make the monkey movies sad? The new one was pretty good. I think it's a great start to what I think will probably be a new like storyline in the same world. It feels like this is just, you know, if the point of the original trilogy was kind of to get us started on how do we get to the point that we get to in the original Planet of the Apes, it feels like that was like well, here's how it got started, and now we're getting to, and here's how like we got advanced enough to the point where that you can believe that the things in the original happen the way they do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really enjoyed it. I think that as far as the new one, there was a character I was looking forward to who wasn't in it as much as I would have liked, but I think that's something that
Which
a lot of
character
people have...
could it be?
I won't say. It's not even a spoiler. A lot of people have talked about how they kind of wanted Proximus to be around more, and I think my main complaint is that Noah and I then watched Fury Road this week as well. Ooh. And I, in my head, was expecting Proximus to be a Morton Joe. That was where I was like going with this, was I was like, oh, this is the vibes. It was much, much smaller scale than the Fury Road shit. But I got my fix in Fury Road, so I do not feel, I don't feel tricked in any way.
That's good.
Another thing that we watched was we went and saw Challengers again. I only bring this up for two reasons. One, I went to see Challengers for the second time after a friend's event that I showed up to. And I show up and I see my friend. And I'm like, we're talking about stuff. We're both, she's an artist. She's really depressed about the state of the art industry. And we're chatting. And we're having this really depressing conversation. And I'm like, oh man, I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to leave tonight early because I'm going to see Challengers. She's like, what's that? I'm like, it's the tennis movie. And there's a really abrupt house soundtrack that plays apropos of nothing in certain intense moments. And she's like, you weren't trying to sell me and you didn't invite me, but I'm sold and I want to be invited. And I was like, yeah, totally.
Did you also mention that soundtrack is 9 Inch Nails?
I did. That was a big part of the selling point as well. And now she's been tweeting about it ever since. I was really worried that I'd oversold it because I love the movie so much, but I'm aware that a lot of people either didn't get it, didn't like it, thought it was like not as amazing as everyone said it was, thought it was overhyped. So I was really happy that she came away having enjoyed it. And I also was sitting next to my friend Carly, who was losing her shit the entire time.
She really was.
She was like jumping out of her seat on her knees, hands pressed to her head. Like,
oh my God.
And the movie is just like that, to be fair.
It is.
Yeah, it was so great. I've never seen such a full body reaction from anyone just like watching a movie.
And she listens. Yeah. Hi, Carly.
So I haven't seen anybody say anything bad about Challengers yet.
Honestly, the stuff that the people that I see complain about Challengers are people who are like, and what was with that weird soundtrack that just kept cutting in and out? And it's like, it was cool.
It was
That's
cool
why
as
it was
hell.
It was doing what it was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, this is a call out for anyone who didn't like Challengers who is listening right now.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. The people that I have seen saying they don't like Challengers the most are people who I think might have been a little too straight.
Yeah,
that is a consistent issue.
And this is people I respect, who are just they like other things that I like. I think this one just missed them. They're like, and the characters had no chemistry, and I'm like, were we watching the same movie? What?
The whole movie
you
was
just
about
don't like boys
the chemistry
kissing,
between
I guess.
The characters. Like that's literally the whole story.
Yeah.
I bet they also thought the ending was just kind of abrupt and didn't do anything.
No,
right?
I have seen that take, but that wasn't. I saw one. I'm gonna stop talking about this movie in a second. I saw one person whose opinions I generally kind of agree with for the most part, saying that he really loved Bones and All, but this one was a miss for him because largely he didn't believe Zendaya as Tashi. And I'm like, I don't get that. He's like,
What?
she was great in the high school scenes, but I didn't buy her jaded bitch energy in the rest of the movie. And also, he didn't think that the guys had any chemistry. And I'm like, I think you're too straight for this one.
Yeah.
I think you might be too straight for this one. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
Go kiss a guy and try again.
Go kiss the guy and try again.
Nina out here being super straight phobic.
But yeah, that's the kind of disapproval I've seen for this movie.
Huh.
One
Okay.
of our podcast listeners is seeing it today,
Ooh.
and I'm really on the edge of
Ooh.
my seat about what their takeaway is going to be.
Who is it? Do we want to give them a shout out?
We can bleep it out if we want to, but it's Wandering.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
They asked me the other day, I was talking about how much I loved it, and they were like, is it worth seeing? It seems fun, and obviously I love Trent Reznor, but meh, sports ball. And I'm like, if you let sports ball keep you from seeing this movie,
Luca
I am
Guadagnino
going
doesn't like sports ball either, and you can
That's
tell in
the
the way
good-
the movie is made.
Yes.
It's my favorite thing is you watch the movie and then you hear an interview from him where he's just like, I think tennis is so boring.
Or Zendaya saying that, oh gosh.
Serena Williams
hated it.
That's
She's
not
like, I haven't talked to
surprising.
Venus yet, but Serena hated it.
That's funny.
Or the other way
makes
around.
sense, honestly.
Yep. So that was fun. Anyway, that's Challengers review part 2 because I really like the movie and I want to talk about it again.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
It's it holds right now on my front, not to bring back to me, the dubious honor of being the second movie this year that I've watched twice
Ooh.
In theaters.
at all.
Or just in general. Okay.
Yeah.
But the other one was also a movie you saw twice in theaters.
Yes.
Yes, it was Love Lies Bleeding. And I think Love Lies Bleeding and Challengers are comparable movies in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
And really, really not in a number of other ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone from Love Lies Bleeding could hit a tennis ball like that.
So true.
Anyway, we're going to move on. I can't keep
Yeah,
talking about this.
we can't get bogged down in that one, but we all know what we all think. Anyways.
Yep.
I've got a pair of ghouls. Only one of which I actually posted to my Letterboxd, so Noah can probably predict it. But I'm going to talk about the other one first. I watched a movie called The Sadness. Have any of you heard about this? It's on Shudder currently. It came out in, I think, 2022, and it's Taiwanese. It's directed by Rob Jabez. I don't know.
I was
if
going to
that's
say,
actually how
have
that's
I heard
pronounced.
of The Sadness only my whole life?
Oh.
It's a very
Me when I'm
interesting
bummed out.
flavor of take on a zombie movie. It's very, very, very COVID inspired, clearly. And I'm just gonna say this out front right now. I am not recommending that anybody go watch it because this shit's got some unsettling stuff in it.
Oh yeah? Well, now I'm going to go watch it.
Just make sure that you're appropriately warned. That's you can do whatever you want, but I'm telling you, you want to maybe be cautious with this one. It's definitely a line up an eye cleansing watch afterward or something.
Okay.
Basically, if you don't mind some light spoilering,
Yeah.
the take on a zombie contagion that it subscribes to is almost adjacent to like a 28 Days Later, right? Where it's like the rage virus thing. But it more specifically makes you think of whatever the most fucked up thing you can do is in a given situation. And then from like the basest biological level starts urging you to go do that thing.
Interesting.
And this goes the exact direction that you probably expect it will. This thing is, the whole movie, slick with blood. Oh my God. It's got more blood in it than a number of other movies than I have seen, especially lately. The violence is very, very explicit. It swings super hard on everything that it is doing. And like I said before, it's extremely, extremely inspired by having lived through COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So everything about it kind of like, hits. It's super intense. It's really, really good in a way that I cannot recommend other people to watch.
That's interesting, though. I mean,
Yeah.
the poster, there's a lot of blood imagery on the poster,
Right.
so that's not surprising. But I've run into a problem lately where a lot of kind of what's streaming right now I'm either not interested in or I've seen already.
Oh, sure.
And so I'm actively looking for more horror stuff to watch that sounds intriguing or
Something a
that
little new and
friends
different,
have
maybe?
watched. Yeah, a little new or different. So I might give this one a try.
Okay.
This is being marked as an all-timer for tasteless cinema by Brandon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like
Is that a positive thing?
Yes, big thumbs up from Brandon.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I would definitely say
that sounded like a negative thing.
That's Brandon for you.
No, sorry. The line after that is all-timer tasteless cinema. It rules. Is
okay.
his ending line, but he's comparing it to a Lost Category 3 film, which
okay.
I don't know what that means.
yeah, it's what is it? The Chinese rating system, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
They're fucked.
Yeah,
we watched one a little while ago, and it was something else.
Yeah, it seems like over the last couple of years especially, we've been seeing a significant movement of like super like hyper violent movies coming out of the horror market in Asia, just kind of broadly speaking. And watching this one kind of has me interested in seeing other titles like Beaten to Death or Project Wolf Hunting.
I'm sorry. I love a
Beaten to Death just gets straight to the point, doesn't it?
It's not beating like around the bush. It's just like, you know what this movie's about? It's about getting beat to death.
I think it's like found footage flavored and all. Like, I don't know though. I'm kind of interested in watching it though. I'm more interested in Project Wolf Hunting, but because I've heard a ton about how like it's really really good apparently, but have not gotten to that stuff yet. I think they're both on like Screambox or something. Anyways, though, so the other ghoul that I've got though, and this is the one that if Noah has been checking Letterboxd, he already knows that I watched it. I watched Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. Following through on my continuing with the the Star Trek movies. This is in fact the one where they go back in time for the whales.
Nice.
I
love whales.
Tell you what,
Jeff
the way
doesn't
that
anymore.
the whales, I could not have predicted the way that the whales fit into the plot of this movie.
Yeah.
And
I don't know much about Star Trek or Star Trek movies, but I feel like just from general osmosis throughout the years, I feel like they're time-traveling space whales or something like that.
no,
Okay, so I'm wrong.
these are perfectly regular humpback whales.
Okay.
But the problem is that by the 23rd century, they're extinct.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a spoilers for Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, a movie that came out in 1986. There is an alien ship approaching Earth, and it is sending communications that are specifically aimed at the oceans, and they try and like decrypt these communications, and it's whale songs, and they're like, oh shit, these are specifically humpback whale songs, so these aliens are trying to communicate with whales that aren't on Earth anymore, and if they get there and find out that there's no humpback whales and that humans are responsible for their extinction, then they're gonna destroy the Earth. So we need to go back in time and grab some whales to talk back to these guys and prevent them from destroying the Earth.
That's so ridiculous.
And this is happening
not, like,
literally
pure
the
Star
moment
Trek,
that
though.
the search for Spock ends. These movies are just end to end, one moment to the next. They haven't even gotten back to Earth yet. They're flying a stolen Klingon ship. And then they find out about this whole whale situation, and Kirk is just like, well, I mean, we could probably just do a little time travel, right? Just casually.
I love Kirk.
He's like, well,
he's
I mean,
such a fucking idiot.
Kirk is such a goddamn bullshitter, is what I'm being reminded of. Is his entire shtick is not that he's like a hothead or whatever it is that a lot of people tend to know him for. It's that he is just an absolutely insatiable bullshitter.
Yeah.
He can bullshit his way into and out of any situation.
That is my favorite thing about his relationship, specifically with Bones, is because Bones is constantly the one who is having to deal the most with the consequences of Kirk's actions.
He's one of the guys who's absolutely incapable of bullshitting as part of his job. Like, that's the thing about Kirk, is he's the bullshitter, because everyone else around him, like Scotty and Spock and Bones and like everyone who
legally
actually
required to
has
tell
a
the truth.
job on the ship, they're all incapable of bullshitting. And he's just like, well, I just bullshitted us into a situation. You guys are going to have to get us out.
God, I love Star Trek.
And they're like, I don't know if I can do that. And he's like, that's okay. I'll just bullshit harder and that will make it possible.
Incredible.
And that's
At
the
some
whole
point,
thing. And that's
they'll hit
the
critical
whole movie,
bullshit.
ultimately.
Well-
It was fun. It's not like, I mean, it's a 2-hour-long Star Trek episode and it drags a bit, but like, it's fun. I had a good time with it.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Love it. That's fun.
Yeah, what about you, Emma?
Yeah, what'd you watch, Emma?
You watch anything?
Oh golly,
Probably.
I did watch some movies recently. So, as we talked about last time, we suggested that each of us hosts gives Noah like a week worth of movies to watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave Noah my list. I think I'm the first to turn a list in, so
You are.
go me, suck it losers. But for one, not all of them are horror. Only a couple are horror. A lot of them are anime movies.
I would also like to clarify to any listeners, they don't need to be horror movies. Everyone kind of leaned into the whatever theme already,
Yeah.
but they do not need to be horror movies.
Yeah. And mine are not. But I put some real heavy hitters on there. A lot of my movies have a theme of movies that will make you very emotional. So be ready for that, Noah.
Yeah, I saw Grave of the Fireflies.
I'm a man.
on
I'm
there.
not going to cry.
Grave of the Fireflies is on there.
Yeah, Nina already told me that they're not watching that with me, and I'm on my own.
It's a good movie. But so I gave Noah that list. And I watched a couple of movies for the movie that we're talking about for this episode, and we'll talk about that in the actual episode, so I won't mention them here. But a couple of the movies that I gave to Noah are movies that have been on my radar for a long time, but that I haven't actually watched. And so I decided to watch them. And the two movies were Perfect Blue, which is a horror anime movie about an idol who has a stalker. Anime does not particularly do horror well.
You don't think so?
No. there aren't a lot of good horror anime.
Okay.
But whenever you have like people talking about horror anime, or you have a list of like the best horror anime, Perfect Blue is going to be on that list or near the top. And it's from the late 90s, I think. And it's just not something I ever watched. I saw it was on Shudder, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, okay, I'll watch this. Really good, pretty fucked up. I enjoyed it, but there's a lot of violence against women. There's some SA stuff. So definitely, and it's pretty gnarly. So definitely, if you're considering watching it, look up some content warnings and things like that, because it is pretty intense. But it was really good. It's really well executed and really well done. And it definitely made me think a lot about, because Hollywood loves to remake things here in the West and take popular things that exist in other countries and remake them here. And because idol culture is so prevalent in specifically like only Japan, it really made me think, what would it look like if a Hollywood remake was attempted? And it kind of put me through like a fun little like brain teaser where I had some interesting thoughts about the entertainment kind of culture and all of this other stuff. Yeah. And I'm excited to talk to Noah about it once he watches it.
I'm gonna watch that one because that, like you said, it's been one that I hear about like borderline constantly, but I've never watched. Yeah.
And then I watched Memories of Murder, which is from the same director that did Parasite, which won Best Picture back in 2017.
Dude, I loved Parasite.
And yeah, this was one of his first movies. It's largely considered one of his best, and it's something I've heard about constantly. And so I was like, I think I saw on Noah's Letterboxd that you had seen Parasite and you rated it really well. And I was like, oh, here's another one, Noah. So I wanted to watch that one as well. And just by pure coincidence, this one has a lot to do with violence against women as well. Not intentional. I didn't know about that. But
Emma
it's
loves
also
violence against women.
No, I don't. But this one was really well done. It's very it's a very bleak kind of look at a detective story set in a small town in the 90s. I think actually in the movie the setting is like the 70s or 80s, but it was made in the 90s and really well done as well. And I really enjoyed it, and it was a good time. But then, and here's the big one you're all waiting for. So I realized last night I was thinking of watching the movie we're discussing today again, because I watched it like last Monday, I think. So it's been like a week. I was like, maybe I can watch it again as a refresher. But then I realized that I didn't have a movie I had seen that my TikTok bestie, who I don't always agree with on his movie opinions, has recommended. So I wanted to watch a movie for just the fans who are really committed to this segment that I'm doing, this casual segment that I'm doing. So I watched Stop Motion, which came out this year or last year, and that this TikTok creator loves. It's about stop motion animating, and it's a horror movie about stop motion animating. It heavily features stop motion, kind of interposed with like live action, and it's very interesting. It's definitely not so deep that like I couldn't fully grasp it. The movie takes some weird turns, and there's some things early in the movie that I picked up on. And if I just like paused the movie and asked myself, why did they make that choice? I think I could have like gotten it, and like understood the intention and like what the movie was going for off rip. I ended up having to watch like a video that explained what the movie was about. But it was really well done, like practically, and what they did with all the stop motion and everything. It's very disturbing, and it's really well done and interesting. The storyline is pretty great. It's kind of about like the dark impulses of creative art and all of these different things. And I enjoyed it, and I think I'm enjoying it more as I like sit with it for longer. And I think one day in the future, definitely not anytime soon, it's a movie I want to revisit to see how I feel about it on a rewatch. But yeah, Stop Motion.
Neat.
It's not streaming anywhere. You have to buy it.
Damn.
Well, I rented it on YouTube for like $7. But yeah, those were my ghouls. Oh no, I have one more actually, which is huge. This is huge. This is
huge
the
ghoul?
cinematic event of the season. I'm not completely done with it. I've been watching it today, and then we started recording, so I had to pause, and I'm gonna finish it later. But this is a movie that's gotten a lot of attention recently. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it's The Spectacular Failure of the Star Wars Hotel by Jenny Nicholson.
I was just reading something about that earlier today.
Yeah, so it's a 4-hour-long YouTube video about the Star Wars Hotel, and how it's kind of miserably failed.
I watched that
And
shit.
I figured you would have. I'm like an hour in, and it's fascinating.
It's 4 hours, right?
It's 4 hours.
It's 4 hours,
long.
and none of it is wasted. None of that
Yeah.
time is supplementary at all. It's
It's
really good.
great.
I love the creator for the most part. I think that she's done some really good videos. I have a couple things that I don't like fully agree with her on, but her video on bronies is incredible. And her video on the Evermore Park was also really good, and very interesting. So she started doing more theme park review stuff recently, and I've always been curious about that stupid hotel. So I was like, there's no way I'm going, and I didn't even know it had closed down until I watched the video. So
Yeah, I think this video's been like 2 years in the making, because I remember her tweeting about going and having such a bad experience.
yeah, that would not surprise me.
She talks about it in the video.
I remember her tweeting. I'm a
Specifically
ground floor
because
guy.
so
Ground
there might be
floor
more
Jenny
that
Nicholson fan.
she hasn't gotten into in the video yet, but she talked about how when she booked, she paid extra for, like, they apparently were supposed to have photographers kind of going around taking candid shots of, like, everybody, or taking, like, pictures of, like, staged pictures of people, and you could pay, like, $30 a person, or something like that for, actually, I think it was more than that, but you could pay a certain amount, and basically you can, at the end of the few days, you get a link and you can download the pictures as many times as you want. And so she paid for that, but then between like booking and then actually going on the trip, Disney decided like, oh, you can pay extra to get a private photographer to like take you and do all of these shots all around the ship. And so many people booked that, I guess, and it was such a popular thing that there were no photographers going around taking candid shots. So at the end of the trip, she had no pictures that she paid for. And so she went to message boards and things to talk to people about it. And a lot of other people had a similar experience. She called Disney and like tried to go through like the customer support and everything to get a refund. And they were like, tough shit, no. And then she went online and tweeted about it. And like pretty much immediately, like, Disney called her and we're like, hey, yeah, let's get you that refund. And
take that tweet down and you can have your money.
Yeah. So she definitely has a lot to complain about, but super interesting video. I'm really enjoying it so far. Would recommend.
Huh. Neat.
Yeah. And that's our ghouls. Like we always say, that's our ghouls. And then we start the episode. Welcome back to Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast, where we talk about horror movies. My name is Emma. I use they, them pronouns. Let's see who else is here with me today. Jeff.
Hello, I'm Jeff, and I also use they, them pronouns.
Fantastic. Nina.
I'm Nina. I use she, her pronouns, and they, them pronouns.
Why'd you say it like that? You.
Wow, yeah. Say your pronouns the normal way.
Okay, good
quiet
fucking
on set,
God.
quiet on set. No laughing. This is a very serious podcast.
Sorry, can I take that again?
Yes.
Take two.
I'm Nina, and I use she, they pronouns.
Incredible. And Noah.
Hello, I'm Noah, and I use he, they pronouns.
Iconic. Today, we're talking about Hell House LLC Origins, the Carmichael Manor. But before we get to talking about Hell House LLC Origins, the Carmichael Manor, we have some other movies that we watched in order to prepare for our viewing experience, because this is the fourth movie in a series.
Can't go rushing into something like that.
Of course.
No.
Of course, there was the first movie, Hell House LLC, which we have discussed on our podcast before. But then there were two others.
We were deceived.
We were deceived, for there were two more. One is Hell House LLC 2, The Abaddon Hotel, and the other, Hell House LLC 3, Lake of Fire. Now, these movies are largely held in disregard and considered what may colloquially be known as bad movies. But a few of us braved the trenches to prepare for this movie, and we watched the two bad movies. And let's talk about them briefly.
I also watched the director's cut of the first one.
Incredible. You're so brave. Let's just, how about everybody just who watched these movies say I. I. Wow.
Nina.
Okay.
Oh my God, you forgot to say I.
Oh my God, Nina, you forgot to say I.
Or did Nina not watch the movies?
Oh, no.
I did not watch the movies.
Okay, well, to end my bit, so the second and third movies are, in fact, pretty bad.
They're terrible,
But how bad
Some might say that they suck ass.
Not good movies.
Yeah, so I did not think about... I rated these on my my secret Letterboxd account that Noah has still... Or not Noah, but that Jeff has still not found.
Yeah, because it's so difficult to find.
It's so difficult to find. But I rated them, and I didn't really think about how I would rate them on an out of 10 scale. But on the Letterboxd out of 5 scale, I think I gave...
You gave number 2 a 1 star.
Yeah.
And you gave number
and I
3...
gave number 3 a 2 star.
That sounds about right.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you for the assist.
Of course, of course.
2 is just really bad. The acting is really corny.
Yep.
The set is just, it's like the same set as last time, but a bit more stingy and like gross and weird.
It seems like it just kind of sat empty between the making of the original movie and the making of the sequel. Like, it seems very convincingly like the building has just sat there the whole time.
Yeah.
But like not in a good way.
No.
Not in a good way. And then the best part and the worst way of the second movie is they have a kind of like news interview segment that they intersperse throughout the movie where they're talking about like, oh, what happened at the Abaton Hotel. And at the beginning of the movie, to introduce this segment, they just have like the newscaster / interviewer and then like the 3 people that she's interviewing, and they're just on a giant blue screen.
It's so bad.
It's really, really bad.
So bad.
And they have it there for like 10 seconds, and then they start playing like news footage on the blue screen, and you don't see it again until the end where they get rid of the news footage, and then it's a green screen. But it's literally a blue screen room, and it looks terrible.
Yeah.
But it's really funny.
It's really, really funny. Not enough to make the movie fun to watch, but it is really funny.
Yeah. And then the third, well, do you two have anything additional you would like to say about
how
the
much
second?
is there to
so
say
for the second
about
one,
it?
there is more lore in the second one to pepper in about the story, and the lore diminishes any meaning that the original has.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
because
bad
we are
lore
told
additions.
we're told why they are stuck at Hell House in the first place, which I'm not trying to be rude to people that couldn't figure it out, but it was very clear in the first one that there was like a financial problem, and that's why they were kind of stuck with their commitment. It's cool to know that there are other reasons, and by cool I mean I didn't need to know that the house literally cursed their last haunt so that they had to go to the Abaddon Hotel.
Yeah. It feels like it makes it less cool.
Also, the docu-styling in this was way worse. Like,
Yeah.
the docu-styling in the original was great. It actually felt very legitimate and real. Or relative. It felt like someone putting together an in poor taste true crime documentary.
If there's one good thing I can say about the second one, it's that it made me appreciate the first one more.
Yeah.
And as a fan of the first one, this sucks. This sucks so bad.
Yeah, it's no good. It's just not, it doesn't do...
It's too jump scare reliant.
Yeah.
Which the first one had its jump scares, but it wasn't a jump scare machine. Whereas Hell House 2 is a jump scare machine.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah, for sure.
Also, it just spends a lot of time farting around and not doing anything.
Yeah.
But in like
That's
the bad
true.
way, you know?
Yeah. And again, the actors are just all bad.
I actually kind of disagree. I think a couple of them are actually good when they're given the chance to do something, but the movie doesn't let them do very much.
Yeah. See, I saw you say that in our chat after you watched it, and I was like, I disagree, Jeff.
It's fine.
I just think they're all bad. But yeah, it's just it's a rough watch. But then 3 happens, and 3 is It's not as bad, but it's just full of like them trying to tie up lore in a lot of ways to the point where not much scary stuff happens.
I'll say it's bad in different ways.
It is bad in different ways. For instance, there's a character who has they're real in the movie, but they're like prosthetic scars on his face and neck.
It's the worst
and
scars
they
I've
are
ever seen.
the worst prosthetics I've
They're
ever
so
seen in
bad.
my life.
And like, here's the thing, right? Like, friend of podcast Edge, Halloween enthusiast, Michael Myers fan, used to do this, used to do scar makeup. So I've seen someone who started doing scar makeup from step 1. I can distinctly say this is shit.
Yeah, it's terrible. And it's
too
present
big
throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
It's too big. It's the wrong color.
It looks like someone laid a wax turd on the man's face and then cut a line down it.
Yeah.
It also looks fresher than they're claiming it to be. Like, it's just everything about it is wrong. That said, I feel like the movie itself is a lot more fun than the second one. I feel like it's a much more fun watch. But unfortunately, that actually only makes the ending worse because the ending takes a massive shit all over the whole rest of the movie. And it made it so I actually managed to feel ripped off by it.
No, the ending of this cheapens Hell House 2 and Hell House 1.
Yeah. It's pretty... I don't want to spoil it, audience. It's pretty bad.
It's so
pretty bad.
And the ending is so stupid.
It is not, it was a dream the whole time. But it is the same feeling that you get when you are told, and it was a dream the whole time. We're like, are you fucking serious right now? Is this really what we're doing? It's the same feeling.
Yeah. It's really funny.
Yeah. I think its greatest sin is the haunted house still looks cheap, but when it was cheap in the first movie, it made sense. They had no budget. When it was cheap in the second movie, it's like, well, it's the leftovers from this one. Cheap in the third movie, when billionaire Wyatt Ryan or whoever his name is, Wynn Russell. I don't know, Russell Wynn. Was that it? Russell. I don't remember.
Who gives a
dumbass
shit?
Billionaire man is fronting the money to make his little Faust play happen. And it looks so cheap still. And which would be kind of okay in the plot of the movie. It makes sense. However, the cameras are too nice in this movie. They moved good digital instead of crusty digital. And found footage crusty digital and found footage analog always works. Found footage clean digital takes a very specific setting to work well in. And this was not it.
Yeah. It was rough.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good.
It's simply not good.
How would you two rate these movies?
I think 1 and 2 sound pretty correct. I might bump them to like 1 and 3 respectively.
Oh. Out of 5? 3 out of 5 for Hell House 3?
Out of 10.
Oh, Emma's are out of 5.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, mine are out of 5.
Yeah, out of 5.
I'm
1 and 2
rocking.
sound right.
I gave them both 2 stars out of 5.
That's very generous of you towards the second movie.
I think so too. And so I watched 1 and 2 in the same day, and then I watched 3 the next day. I think a lot of my good vibes were carrying over from the first one. Yeah. And then I think, I put this in my review, that Hell House 3 was better than 2, and it made me dislike 2 even more in hindsight, but I did not want to go back and alter my, I didn't want to go back and alter my numbers because it didn't feel fair. My initial gut reaction was 2, and this one also, I think they're both awful, but in different enough ways, you know?
Yeah.
But you can, if you want to, you can watch Hell House 3, and not ever have to touch 2, and you won't miss any story.
Yeah.
Better still, you could just watch the original and then Origins.
Yes.
Yeah, true. How was that? I will say that watching 2 and 3 definitely made me appreciate Origins a lot more as I was watching.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh my god. It's the same as, like, you know, every now and then, you know, you watch approximately 366 movies over the course of the year.
Right.
You know the feeling.
As we all do.
And you watch some real shit for a second because, you know, that's just kind of how things have been going. And then you watch like an actually like acclaimed critical success movie and you're like, oh my god, the movies are real. Cinema's back. And it's like some shit from like that just was a huge director who released it at the height of his fame in 2007. And it's just like, it's just a good movie. It's not even as good as you feel like it is, but you've just watched a lot of garbage.
Yeah.
That was,
as we all know, 2007 was like the golden era of cinema. It's never been as good.
I'm always saying this.
It was never good.
I am in fact always saying this.
Let me see. Have I watched anything recently from 2007? Where'd I pull that number from? I made that number up.
That's the year that Dario Argento released Mother of Tears. So, I mean, yeah.
Death Proof. Oh my god. Oh my god.
shit.
I was
You
shooting
love
for
that
Death Proof.
movie.
Yeah, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Iconic. So, what did you think about the director's cut of the first movie, though?
Yeah, what's up with that?
It's so I don't know how much footage actually is added because the director's cut on Tubi is an extra 30 something minutes long, but it's because it includes behind the scenes and some like casting videos at the back end. I didn't watch that. But I think it's at least 5 minutes, and it adds a couple of scenes that lets the world breathe a little bit more, and it slows the movie down, which you wouldn't think you'd necessarily want in Hell House, where it's already 93 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But a little bit of extra breathing room on some of these scenes. There's like an extra scene with Paul getting haunted, which Paul is a gross character in the movie. Like he's the pervy cameraman, in case you don't remember him by name. But
Thank you, because I didn't.
no problem. But I personally think that Paul is head and shoulders the best part of the movie. He's like, in the sense of he's the best actor in the movie. And because of that, having an extra scene or two with him where he's not just going through the camera, I mean, for the casting, I think it's really important if you take your shirt off. It's like a normal scene that he gets extra. So that was nice.
Nice.
But,
nice.
you know, if you're going to watch Hell House again, there's no reason not to watch the director's cut, is I guess what my main point would be.
Iconic. Great. Perfect. Thank you, Noah.
Of course.
So,
Of course.
to stop teasing you, audience, we will finally move on to start with the chunk of our episode where we're talking about Hell House LLC Origins, the Carmichael Manor. This movie is not as directly tied to the Abaddon Hotel as the other three movies have been. It is in a new setting at the Carmichael Manor, you might say.
We forgot to mention this. It's because the Abaddon Hotel blows up at the end of Hell House 3.
Yeah, true.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it kind of.
I won't get into details of how or why, but it does blow up.
Yeah.
Does it matter how or why? I don't think it does.
You can still watch this movie without knowing that and be fine.
Yeah.
They
But-
mentioned
You really
burn it
can.
down, so
Yeah, that's all you need to know. So this movie, a kind of blogger that does like murder mystery content and haunted house content sort of stuff, takes her girlfriend with her to this haunted manor, supposedly the Carmichael Manor, and they're going to be staying there for a few days and documenting like what they see and what happens as they investigate and talk about kind of this family that like was murdered / disappeared here. And then obviously they get there. The main girl's brother also kind of joins a little bit later, but they start investigating the house and kind of learning about the house from like the area, and some scary stuff starts happening, as it most often does in haunted houses. And that's kind of like a short, like little teaser synopsis for you. Noah, what was the critical reception of this movie?
So, to answer this question, I must first ask you a question. Do you think critics care about the fourth installment of the Hell House LLC franchise?
I don't.
Absolutely, I
imagine
do.
They would.
I have really terrible news for Emma and wonderful news for Jeff. It is really hard to find reviews for Hell House 4 since Hell House 2 and 3 sucked so much ass.
Yeah.
You should have gone on TikTok. This was very popular to talk about on TikTok.
Well, that's the issue. Is it's like none of my usual like professional sources talked about it. So I have a Metacritic rating of 0, nothing. It is not there. None of the Hell House movies are though, for what it's worth.
Okay. Yeah.
IMDb, we got a 6.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is 87%. Letterboxd is 3.1 out of 5 for Hell House LLC Origins, the Carmichael Manor. You may be wondering, well, Noah, if there's no people who rated this, where's your Ebert? No Ebert. No professional people rated this movie that I could find. There's like a couple other podcasts that I follow that have done it, but I didn't want to lift from a podcast.
Sure.
Feels weird.
That's
Twitter
podcast
Brandon didn't watch it.
cannibalism.
I actually think Twitter Brandon would probably have enjoyed this because he did like Hell House LLC initially.
Yeah.
But since I couldn't find anything, I decided to continue my tradition of padding my section with Flanagan's review of this movie.
Oh,
Okay.
Mike Flanagan reviewed this movie?
Yeah, Mike reviewed this one.
Let's go, Mike.
I just also for podcast reasons, I would like to elaborate for one thing real quick and steal some more time for myself. The reason I like to bring in these different reviews and everything is I feel like it helps shape our conversation in a fun way to just have like, we have our ideas and now we have ideas to work against. And I think that's always neat, whether we're like moving along with them or like disagreeing with Nick, what's his face, who was our Ebert review the last couple times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever we're doing, I like that. So this was actually heartbreaking to have it so hard to find like reputable reviews.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's Flanagan. Watched November 4th, 2023. Very much enjoyed this. A fine entry and an overall excellent found footage franchise that really knows how to deliver dread and scares in equal measures. Stephen Cognetti has really made the found footage scare itself into a science, but fortunately, also pours a lot of care into atmosphere, dread, and character. More than a few moments made my skin crawl with anticipation, and that's not easy to do. Chilling stuff. Now, his very incorrect statement about the franchise as at large
We can ignore that.
aside,
we can.
I will accept that Stephen Cognetti really actually does take these movies very seriously.
Yeah.
I just don't know because, and this is an issue with found footage in general, a lot of found footage has the bones of a script and your characters, and then you are reliant on whoever you cast to bullshit their way into a movie. They
Yeah.
need to be able to flow. They're making up a lot of their lines. They have a point A and a point B, and they need to, with a very skeletal script, get there and make their characters sound real, you know? So I will give Stephen Cognetti a light pass and defer to Mike on his caring about characters.
Yeah.
But I think specifically for Origin, I'm sorry, Hell House LLC Origin, the Carmichael Manor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
Not to be confused with X-Men Origin Wolverine. I shall stop
Yeah.
saying simply Origin. Nina will be confused. I think this one is maybe the best Hell House movie.
Oh, no doubt it's the best Hell House movie.
And I actually am going to say that without, like, you don't need to watch the first movie for this movie to work.
Yeah.
There are things that maybe, like, you know, the clown showed up and I'm like, oh, it's the clown. The clown's here. But if you don't know who the clown is, you might end the movie thinking, why did they focus on the clown like that? But you're not going to sit there and think this movie was bad. Who is the clown?
Yeah.
They do actually explain who the clown is in this movie.
I have
They
mixed
do.
feelings on that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Emma, may I give my rating?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
I rate.
So actually, for reference for the audience, sorry, Noah. I
funny.
looked up what we each gave the first movie
Right.
when we did our episode about the first movie. And so I wanted to present those numbers as a
please do.
reference point for this movie. So Noah, last when we recorded for the first Hell House movie, you gave that an 8, but you had said that past Noah gave it a 7. And then Nina gave the movie a solid 7. Jeff gave it a 4.5
Right.
and specified that you don't like found footage.
That's true.
And then I gave it an 8. So with that out of the way, Noah, please tell us your number.
For what it's worth, I don't use the heart emoji on Letterboxd to signify anything other than I really, really enjoyed something. I know some people turn it into part of their rating system. I think that's stupid. Hell House for me is a 8-star with a heart. Hell House LLC Origins, The Carmichael Manor is 9 stars with a heart for me. I cannot stress enough that this movie scared the shit out of me. Could not tell you why. I was so afraid of this fucking movie. I didn't watch anything that day. It was the only movie I watched that day. I didn't do anything to prep myself and ramp myself up into fear. Nothing special happened. The movie just scared the shit out of me. And we finished the movie and we watched an episode of House to wind down. And we are going to bed and my heart is still ba-dump, ba-dump, ba-dump. And I'm just like, damn, I'm still like tense from this. And Nina hits me with I think this movie affected you more than it affected me. And Nina fell asleep.
Noah's a bitch.
Nina, like, not in a braggadocious manner. Yeah. I have not had a movie affect me like this since Host in 2020.
Great movie.
Which, good movie. And outside of that was like, I don't know, like Nightmare on Elm Street when I was a teenager. Like, I don't usually have movies sit with me like this.
Mm-hmm.
And this one really got me. Like, they did some good things in this that I'll talk about when we talk about, like, the movie later. But I liked this a lot.
Can I clarify my statement?
Before Nina says anything, Nina said that I was stupid for being afraid, too.
I did say that.
Right. Wow.
No. So I was tense throughout this movie. Like, I definitely felt suspense, but I felt about the same amount of suspense in this movie as I did in The Black Phone.
Oh, okay.
Which I was mostly just it's a Romeo and Juliet thing. The characters are doomed because they say as much in the front of the movie.
Yeah.
I thought, because I was tense, I thought Noah and I were on the same page. I thought that we were both experiencing the same level of tenseness, and then the movie was over and he was still scared. And I was like, oh, no, that's not what I'm feeling.
Yeah, this got me. It didn't even do any of my usual things, which is like mirrors and dolls.
It had mirror energy, though, I will say.
You know what it does, though, really, really well is hallways and doors.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
The hallways were good here.
Yeah, I was saying a couple weeks ago, the Radio Silence guys just
I was
going to
say contender for the Radio Silence Mansion Award.
This is very much the same kind of thinking, right? Like, it's very clear that they looked at this house and they were like, oh, I know exactly how to make this shit scary. And then they did. This movie, I wrote a note at one point.
That's how you should do a haunted house story.
I wrote a note at one point that just says this movie knows its specific way of being scary, which is the most important thing for a movie to know, rather than just try and be scary in a way that's already being done by something else. This movie, like, has its own really specific lane that it is sitting in, and it knows that, and it plays it perfectly.
I'm going to give my rating, but I have 3 things I really liked about this movie. One, I really felt like I knew the layout of the house. That's something that I think Radio Silence uses mansions in a labyrinthian way, where it's like we're specifically not supposed to know where shit is in Abigail or in Ready or Not. In this one, I know exactly where all the rooms are, and the stairs, and the clown room, for lack of a better term, and the closet in the driveway. I know the layout of this house very well, and I appreciated that. 2, I really appreciated how the characters held on moments. I thought there were certain things that a lesser movie would have cut away from too soon that I really appreciated that they held on. And 3, it does a creepypasta thing that I really, really like, that I think, I think a lot of movies think they're above that shit. This one did not. And it was worth it. It was a little miniature outside the realm of any of the other haunting shit that happened in the movie. Like mini scare that happened that I was really into. So I think this one I definitely liked more than the last one, which I gave a 7. So I think I'll have to give this one an 8 because it's not quite 9 territory for me, but I don't want to budge on my 7 for the first one. And I know this one's better than that one. So I'll say an 8.
Okay. That's respectable. I like that. That works. Jeff, what did you think?
So you said you went back and listened to that older episode to see what all of our ratings were. Do you recall, did I say that Hell House LLC was the best found footage movie I'd ever seen?
I think so.
Because I remember
I think you said something.
That sounds
like it.
familiar.
Thinking that. It has been
I think you
dethroned.
said that.
Uh-huh.
For one, I love to hear that. I think you said that, but you also specified that, like Nina with slashers,
Right.
you just don't like found footage.
This one has not only dethroned Hell House LLC, the original, as the best found footage horror movie I have watched, but I think also... Quick note, very important, at time of recording, I had forgotten about Gonjam Haunted Asylum, which is perhaps my favorite found footage movie, actually. Has caused me to warm up to the idea of found footage a little bit, because
Yeah.
damn, the whole way through
go.
this thing, I literally did not think about the fact that it was a found footage movie. I was just watching it and I was like fully bought into like the conceit of like the documentary and everything. I just had no issues with it that were related to that kind of thing at all, which normally, even if I'm thinking this is an abnormally good found footage movie or something similar to that, I'm still thinking this is a found footage movie. This one, I didn't think about that at all. I didn't think about the fact that it was a Hell House sequel even, which is crazy given the last couple of days of movie watching that I've had.
Right.
It's just fucking good. I think I might also be giving it an 8. Like, holy shit, this
Ooh.
movie just rocks.
Yeah, that makes me happy. So I haven't really done it outside of podcast recordings, but Origins is something I've brought up a couple of times since I've watched it as like, oh, you all should check out Origins. It's really good. If you liked the first one, you should watch this one. And so I'm glad that I was given the opportunity to force you all to watch it.
Yeah, really.
But also, I'm just glad that you all seemingly enjoyed it so much.
Super into it.
It always makes me happy when I force you all to watch a movie and you like it. But yeah, awesome. So for me, the first time I watched this was when it came out, which I think was like in October of last year. And then I watched it again last week and still just really enjoyed it. And kind of, as I was saying, after watching the second and third movies and then going into this one again, kind of experiencing just how bad those were. This was a huge breath of fresh air. The characters and the actors all do a really fantastic job.
The performances are all so good. Holy shit.
Yeah, they feel very like authentic. And it's just fun. There are so many good scares that happen in daylight, which is something I love.
Yeah.
Like the last segment where like the last 20-30 minutes where they're in the dark and there's a bunch of stuff happening, like obviously there's some great scares there.
Absolutely.
But there's just so many good things that happen in the creepy house in the daylight as well that really stick with me. And I love a movie that can creep you out like when it's bright out.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm gonna hang with Noah at a 9. I think I just really, really enjoy this. I really like found footage, and I think this is definitely one of the best found footage movies out there. And it's just great. It is definitely a very tense movie. Some really creepy stuff happens, some really good scares, and it's just a fun time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of details about why I think it rocks that I don't want to talk about until later.
Right.
Because it's just going to derail really hard. But
True.
Well, and that's why we
It's
got to
good.
keep ourselves moving forward into the part of the podcast where you can say those things.
so true.
So let's move into the content warning section, which, as a heads up, we were talking before we started recording and we were like, what content warnings do we have? And we actually really had to kind of like think to come up with even potentially one.
Scary clowns.
We got
Scary
hauntings.
clowns.
If you're afraid of haunted houses in the woods, this is a scary movie. If you, like me, hate going to a place that you are like renting for the weekend or something, and it's nighttime and you look out the windows and there's trees and it's dark, This is not a good movie for you.
It gets very Blair Witchy at one point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's also in an attempt to find other things, we do have like there's a moment of like mental health dismissal for a character writing off some of the concerns he's having as well, you know, you got some problems sometimes. Maybe it's a you thing.
I think the main thing I would say for this character is we have a character who experiences hallucinations, and watching him deal with a haunting is very
Yeah.
sad. So if you are sensitive to that specific thing, then just know about it. Otherwise, it's really effective and really sad.
Yeah. My boy.
My poor boy.
But yeah, there's not a whole lot of, as far as triggering content is concerned, beyond just like scary. There's not a whole lot, which I think is really nice. I don't think we've really had many movies in the past where we've been like, I don't know that we have much to warn about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. What else do we have?
Well, I mean,
What other segments before we go into the spoiler discussion do we need to get out of the way?
We have mentioned a little bit how we think that the tension in this movie is played really well, and well, I mean, Nina did tell that story about how Noah pooped his pants during the movie and all. So like,
He did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
We may have had to cut that segment.
How scary is
For
the
time.
movie?
Nina
on, like,
did definitely tell the story of when Noah pooped his
yeah,
pants.
but how scary is the movie on like a numerical kind of scale? You know, how many poops in your pants out of 10?
I'm gonna give this. I think for some this could be considered a 10 poops out of 10 poops scary. But I'm gonna sit at like an 8 poops out of 8 poops scary, or 8 poops out of 10 scary. This is very scary. You are gonna probably be pretty tense while watching the movie.
Poop beforehand.
Whether poop beforehand for sure. Whether
Definitely.
like the scares really connect with you could be like a slightly more personal thing.
Yeah.
But one way or another, you're gonna be tense. It's
gonna
probably
poop.
gonna creep you out a bit, and it's a great horror movie time.
Yeah.
But without that out of the way, we are moving into our spoilery section where I'm going to give a spoilery plot synopsis. And then we're going to talk about the movie in detail. So if you haven't watched the movie and you're interested in it, go watch the movie. It's on Shudder right now. Come back later. Listen to us talk all about it. Don't spoil yourself of all the big moments and things. But we are jumping into that right now. So, as I always do, I'm just going to read the Wikipedia plot synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll go from there. After I'm done reading this, I'm going to be like, I've talked too much. You all take it away. So, have some things in mind that you would love to talk about, other hosts. Okay, so the film depicts a documentary using found footage recovered from filmmaker Margot Bentley, her girlfriend Rebecca Vickers, and brother Chase Bentley. The three all died whilst spending 4 nights investigating Carmichael Manor, a remote house in Rockland County, New York, mentioned to be one town over from the Abaddon Hotel from the other movies. The recovered footage was edited together by Margot's friend Bradley Moynihan, who provides commentary alongside journalist Alicia Cavallini. The film's narrative provides connections to previous films and the franchise's lore involving the hotel and cult leader Andrew Tolley. Margot and Rebecca travel to the manor to investigate the infamous Carmichael family murders that happened in 1989. The Carmichael's daughter, Margaret, an actress, died in a car crash months before. Her sister, Catherine, and mother, Eleanor, were murdered, but her father, Arthur, and brother, Patrick, disappeared. Margot's own interest in the paranormal began after a man in a clown costume tried to abduct her at a fun fair when she was a child. Margot and Rebecca are joined by Chase, who has a history of psychosis, drawn to help Margot following another episode. They find a locked storage room full of paraphernalia from the fun fair, including 3 clown mannequins. Learning artifacts from the hotel are being exhibited at a local antique store, Margot and Rebecca investigate. Rebecca recognizes a grandfather clock from the hotel, finding film reels, letters, and a cross pendant in a hidden compartment. Chase is frightened by the clowns and a masked woman as he kind of stayed behind at the house while the others went to this antique store, convincing Margot and Rebecca that the manor is actually haunted. The recovered film reels are sent to Bradley, who includes them in the documentary, depicting footage recorded by Catherine prior to and after Margaret's death, revealing Margaret to be the masked woman. Patrick survived the crash, but grows withdrawn and disturbed. Catherine gives him the pendant to protect him. Further footage reveals Patrick joined Tully's cult with the hope to resurrect Margaret, moving the clowns into his bedroom, keeping Margaret's costume as a memento. Later, the cult members invade the manor, where Catherine is killed by Margaret's ghost. In the present, Rebecca's presentation to a real estate partner is disrupted by Catherine's ghost. Though Margaret agrees to leave the manor in the morning, Chase disappears overnight, leaving his possessions behind. Footage reveals Chase was approached in his bedroom by one of the clowns, who pursued and killed him. Margot and Rebecca leave the house, but find their car battery is dead. An attempt to walk to the nearest town through the surrounding woodland is thwarted by members of the cult, forcing the two to flee back to the manor. Disturbing text messages from Chase drive the two women to flee into the car, but the cult members surround them. Returning to the manor once again, Margot hears Chase calling for her, leaving Rebecca, who is killed by Catherine's ghost. Margot finds Chase's eyeless corpse before being stalked by the clown, who corners and attacks her. Patrick is identified as the clown and the one who tried to abduct Margot as a child. In a final scene, Patrick apologizes to a camera before yelling at an unseen man to be quiet, departing through a doorway into a red-tinted room implied to be another gate to hell as seen in previous films. A mid-credits scene, which I did not see and did not know was there, reveals Alicia mentioning the fair is coming back to town. An image of a clown is seen peering through a window in the background.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really good. It's one of the better post-credits scenes that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to go back and watch that. But that's the movie. So, as I warned you, I just talked a lot. So you all talk about something.
All right. So first things first, I said that found footage movies do not work with crystal clear cameras, except in certain settings. This is that setting. Very, very, very much need to say this is the setting the clean camera works in. Hell House 3's clean camera was ass, but this is a pretty building that looks good. And because there's long hallways, because that's the issue with Hell House, is it was too small. You know for a fact they blew that shit up so that they never had to film there again because it was getting stale and they couldn't do things in it.
Yeah.
The space in this manor is so good because he uses, and by he I mean the brother, because that's the scene, right? He uses digital zoom and looks down this hallway where a ball just rolled at him. And a ghost pops its head out, looks at him, puts its head back. No cuts. Nothing changes. He doesn't shake and go, what the fuck? Change it, look back at himself. What the fuck? Look back at it or anything like that. We watch the entire time. The digital zoom makes it crusty. He zooms back out. We are crystal clear again. He runs around the corner. There's no ghost.
These characters are the least annoying found footage filmers ever.
Yeah.
They are so good about filming what needs to be filmed, about not like getting all like over exaggerated in their performances.
And the one character who is a YouTuber.
Yes.
And it makes sense because she's over here like, today, here in Carmichael Manor, where 3 people were murdered. And it's like, you are being so tasteless right now. And I have seen 3,000 videos like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have 2 things I want to say. 1, there is a scare scene that works really well. The Zoom call...
Yes.
file.
Oh my God.
File
Oh, yeah.
scene. That was incredible.
so
The Zoom
good.
call scene is so good.
Mhm.
And with that same character in that same room was the worst scare, which is the "look at me, I'm making the bed" scare. I did not enjoy that one. I thought that was goofy as hell.
I liked it because it was very Hell House, but I had just watched 3 Hell House movies and was like, oh, Hell House did it again.
Yeah, I thought that was cheesy as shit. That was also the most contrived I'm using my camera bit out of the whole thing.
The brother
But-
filmed himself brushing his teeth and dancing.
Well,
so
he's a cutie.
I think if Stephen Cognetti wasn't a coward, he would have given us a pissing scene. And that's
so
what would
true.
have bumped this movie up to a 9 for me.
Honestly, okay, now our hypothetical. The toothbrushing scene happens, but instead of brushing his teeth, he's pissing and leans his head out and says, "You're just gonna have to watch through this to see if there's anything good." Ducks his head back in, and then you hear the thud, and the pissing stops. And he throws his head back out again.
That's also the thing
would
is
be
that is
so funny.
in character for Chase.
Yeah.
That is something he would do. I loved these characters
Yeah.
very much. Chase especially. That's my boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote
He-
like 4 notes that said that.
I did not know how I was going to feel about him when he showed up because I didn't realize he was her brother.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
thought like he was a friend or someone that maybe she was interested in. And he was being a dick. And then I realized he's her brother who's fresh off of a psychotic episode. And I'm in a very unique position to understand both Margot and Chase in this situation, where it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, no, she's definitely in her right for being super concerned and wanting to keep an eye on him. And he's definitely super in his right to not be thrilled about being kept an eye on. So I really, from that moment where I made that realization forward, he was my favorite. But I like Margot and Rebecca a lot too. I sympathize with both of them a lot. The scene where the two of them are hiding in the car
Mhm.
at the very end was so stressful. I totally felt helpless watching them run around the house and into and out of the car and into the woods. And it's like, it really drove home how there is no way out of this and no way for them to get to safety.
Yeah.
And it was really like, I usually when characters move from a place that they were previously safe, I'm like, what are you doing? But with these two, I was like, nope,
No, you gotta
I would
try and get
also,
out. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, clearly the way out was the woman should have run into the woods where a bear would be waiting.
Naturally, that's way
the
safer.
bear-
And the bear would, way safer, the bear would take care of the ghosts and the cultists.
Bears and ghosts
Yeah.
are natural enemies.
Natural
this.
predator to ghost. Yeah.
But also, like, to me, all the scenes of them, like, trying to find a place where they can actually be safe, all of that, I love the way that through all of that stuff, they're still having the same fights that they've been having since earlier on in the movie. And those fights are actually only getting worse. I feel like so often relationship and family drama and stuff, that kind of thing, gets brought up in the beginnings and middles of these kinds of movies. But then once the movie starts happening and stuff is like really rolling toward the end,
Yes.
a lot of times it kind of gets left by the wayside, right? Not in this one. In this one, they keep having the fights and they keep having further developments even rather than just continuously rehashing things. Because like that's the way that it happens, right? That's
And
what
it's not
keeps
just
happening.
like one of them shockingly revealing a thing that they had previously been keeping secret for no reason.
Yeah, they're just
it's-
working
it's-
through their feelings.
And I really like how obviously Rebecca's the side you should be on because she's right. But like Margot is not like so much of an asshole. It's not like fucking like Spring where
Yeah.
I'm just mad at the existence of the one who's like marginally incorrect. I'm still sympathetic to her, you know? And I think that when they have their disagreements about whether or not they should leave because, you know, they can't find Chase, I understand why Rebecca gives up on that argument and stays. And I understand why Margot doesn't want to leave.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so upsetting how much I like wish that they would make different decisions, but it's not even like the futility of knowing that they're going to make the same decisions no matter what. It's the knowledge that the decisions they're making are maybe the best ones to make in this scenario.
Yeah, it's not even as
Or
though
at
it's
the very
fully
least-
wrong.
they don't know they're in the movie, so they don't know that when they don't leave, that is sealing their doom. They think that there's a chance Chase might still be alive, and that's important.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even before that kind of thing happens, the moment that like the Zoom call thing happens, Rebecca's immediately like, we need to leave, and we need to leave immediately. And Margot's just like, okay, well, this is the whole reason that we're here, though. I bring you to places saying they're haunted, and now you're mad at me because I'm right. Like, I can follow that thinking. You do leave. You should leave at that point, and there's no question. But, like, I can follow her reasoning as a ghost chaser to be like, well, but this is why we're here.
Why do you think we're here?
Yeah.
Nothing bad has happened to us yet. It's just ghosts.
I love that. I love the complexity of their relationship and the fights that they're having the whole time. Like, the way that all plays out is really, really good. And it would have been so easy to fuck it up.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the only thing they could have done, and there's a lot of ways you could write around this, but only thing you could have done is like when Chase disappeared and you weren't sure where Chase went or what happened, and your girlfriend is freaking out and is terrified and is seeing a bunch of shit, you leave and you call the police. But I imagine you could have very easily been like, oh, the car battery is drained already at that point, or phones aren't working, the classic.
The internet already wasn't working at that point. It stopped working after the Zoom call, she said.
Yeah. So that's the only kind of like counter argument I could see from like those people on the internet of being like, oh, the idiots, they should have done X thing. But yeah, everything was handled really realistically and sympathetically, and I super enjoyed it. It was great. Nina, I did want to ask, is the creepypasta thing you were mentioning earlier the Zoom call?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, it's great.
I love the
I
Zoom
think
call.
It plays out so perfectly, doesn't it? Holy shit.
It's really nice. I think my favorite part, and the part that sticks with me the most, is the hallway scene that Noah had mentioned, where we have the girl with the mask kind of in the other room as Chase is like going around the house. I don't know. Her just like the imagery of her and her arm kind of like wrapped around the door, and he's just like looking at it and then zooms in on it after like a few seconds of just kind of like freaked out, like unsure of what to do, and then you zoom in and you're like, yeah, okay, that is a hand. And then she like pops out. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
And the particular,
and I mean, I've had, oh, go for it.
The particular way that she sticks her head around the corner and then just pops right back has such a, I don't know if this is the way that it is for all of you guys, but like it has such a thing that I would see in a nightmare kind of feel to it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think, I mean, for me, have you all had a moment where you've been so scared where you actually like pause and you're like, what the fuck do I do? 'Cause
like in real life,
like in real life, I've had a supernatural thing happen where I was like that, where I was hopping out of the shower and then there was knocking at my back door, which was literally right by the bathroom.
Yikes. Hate that.
Literally, like I stopped. I was half stepped out of the shower, and I stood there for literally about a full minute of like, what the fuck do I do? Because I had some knocking stuff happening like to my doors. There's a whole story to this, but there had been some knocking stuff previously that I had attributed to some ghost bullshit. And this was the first time it happened at my back door, but I had some kind of like thick glass blocks in my bathroom that you can't really see out into the backyard, but it lets a little light in when it's sunlight out. And you can't see into the bathroom from outside, but you can see like the light is on and like any like big shadows or whatever. And so I'm stepping out of the shower. I hear that knocking and I stop because I'm like, that's either the ghost or someone wandered into the backyard. And if I keep moving, maybe they see me. And I do not know what to do right now. And so Chase's like pause as he sees like the arm in the doorway and just like the few seconds where he's like clearly unsure of what the fuck to do is just so relatable to me. And I'm like, I've been there. Yeah,
very
it's
much.
Great.
Also, it had a lot of like extra, I mean, similarly to Noah, actually, it had a lot of extra like tension lingering in you afterward kind of energy for me, because listeners of the podcast may recall I mentioned a few episodes ago that I was getting ready to move. At time of recording, it is a Tuesday right now. I moved on Saturday. So I'm extremely new to be living in this new place, and also it's far larger than the old place because it's not an apartment, it's an entire house. And I tell you what, this is a very effective movie to watch when you're still in the looking around at the new place and still getting used to the fact that you live here kind of phase, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of new corners to be looking around everywhere, new doorways that you're not fully familiar with yet. Because that's the exact kind of thing that this movie plays on a lot. So, like, this was just a perfect time for me to have watched it, I think.
Great. Perfect. Because you never know after you move, is this new place haunted? You know?
I actually think that it's the first place I've ever been my entire life that isn't haunted. Or at least that's what I'm continuing to tell myself.
That's good. There's still time.
I'm going to haunt it myself, actually, is my plan.
That seems like the best possible plan.
Y'all, have you heard that it's like an interview clip? And I can't remember who it is, but it's someone asking, is it T-Pain? If he's ever been called the N-word before.
It's not T-Pain.
It's not
it's
T-Pain?
a guy.
Oh,
okay, it's just a guy. Okay. I don't know. I haven't watched the original clip. I just have heard it.
This is... I'm so interested where you're bringing this, Noah.
The guy answers, no, not by anyone from another race. That's never happened. And then this dude goes, are you ready? And that what Emma just said to Jeff had, for me, the exact same energy.
My house isn't haunted.
Okay,
There's
great.
still
Thank
time.
you for that. No. Are you ready? I'm coming over.
As a ghost. Tune in next time for me telling stories about how Emma was just astral projecting into my bathroom mirror.
That's a new kind of haunting I can totally get behind, actually. It's
I feel like
someone
I
who's
would be
alive
really...
who's just astral projecting into your house.
Yeah.
Emma's just doing the gritty in your mirror.
I feel like you would.
I feel like it'd be really creepy.
I think that you would there are certain behaviors that you have in life that would translate pretty well to haunting.
What does that mean?
Thank you, Nina.
I mean, like when Emma convinced everyone that she'd never seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, or they'd never seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Oh, yeah, that was really great.
That was a really good one.
Ghosts are always trying to
iconic.
convince people that they haven't seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
True.
God, I was so troubled. And then we didn't even watch the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. We watched Ghost Rider.
Nice.
So sad.
I wish there was a Sam Raimi Ghost Rider. That would be
Ghost Spider.
Ghost Spider. What am I talking about?
That's actually Gwen Stacy's designation when she's Spider-Man. So not even a fun, wild mistake. Just a Spider-Man that exists.
Oh, she's actually called that. It's not just a reference to the fact that Gwen Stacy is dead in other arcs of the comics.
No, that is actually one of her designations.
Okay.
No.
My bad.
Sorry, the Spider-Man nerd in me really jumped out. We'll put that away. But
okay, so the movie.
Right, there's a movie here.
Other things about this movie. I gotta say, there's one thing that it worked, but
I'm sorry. I'm finding notes.
He's reading his notes and laughing at them.
I'm really excied for Noah.
I love this man. Did you guys know that I love Noah?
Well, if you love him so much, why don't you marry him?
Yeah.
I got 4 full pages on this bad boy. I'm really
excited to read them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think this is one of those the movie is so good that we don't have that much to talk about kind of situations.
I have one thing I'd like to still talk about that was what I was getting to before Noah started laughing at his own jokes. I think there's one thing that I didn't really love, but I did like it here better than I liked it in another movie, and that was the cult in the woods. I get why that was there.
In this one than it is in any of the others, right?
I believe you.
Yeah.
But I still think that it sucked.
The devil was on TV in the second one, so like everything's better than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it didn't really fit. I think the costumes were boring. It felt out of place with the rest of the movie. That's my big.
Actually, you know what? I can agree with the costumes being boring because they're the costumes that worked in super close quarters in the other Hell House movies because you don't see them. But then when you just see a bunch of like Star Wars cosplayers in the woods, it's like
oh yeah. I didn't even know what was going on because I haven't seen the other two movies. And the cult doesn't make that much of a fucking splash in the first one.
Really.
So I did not realize that's what that was. I was just like, oh, there's some shit in the woods. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's my main complaint about the movie, I guess. But I will say when
sense.
compared to another movie I've watched with a cult that kind of emerges from a woods, The Void. There are things that I really liked that this movie did that The Void didn't do, and vice versa. I think that the costumes in The Void slapped.
Very true.
And I would have liked to have seen that level of costuming for these cultists. Also, I just finished reading the second Clown in a Cornfield book, and I gotta say, how hard is it to stick your fucking cultists in clown masks? That's all I'm saying. We have clowns.
Yeah. There are already some pretty damn prominent clowns in here, yeah.
Although I will say, the clowns aren't supposed to be the
affiliated
focal
with
point.
the cult. I am realizing.
Well, they are kind of affiliated with the cult, but they're not like the focal point of the cult. The cult doesn't do clown stuff. It's just that there happen to be a few clowns in the cult.
I'll take that. I just think that I just think that I wish the costumes had been a little more bespoke, but I did think that when it came to them kind of just materializing and there being more and more of them, I think it worked better in this than it did in The Void because we were only following like 3 people and they were so exposed all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that the cult wasn't the reason that they died in the end. I'm glad that was mostly ghost related because I think if the cult had been the ones doing the killing, I would have been extremely disappointed.
Yeah. I get that. I'm with you.
As always, the cult is the weakest part of the movie.
That is my grand
True.
statement, yeah.
I mean, why not just have... Because obviously the cult has some sort of digital editing on them to black out like their faces or something.
To make them into just silhouettes.
Yeah. I feel like you could just have creepy looking people wearing cloaks with like the hoods down so that as audiences familiar with the series, you get the visual connection of like, oh, those people are with the cult. You have the 2 characters in the woods maybe seeing these people suddenly like pop up on that bridge in the woods and they're like, oh, regular people, hey, we need help. And then you see like them pull a knife or something and then they're like, oh, fuck, and they run away. It has like a similar effect and like works just as well without kind of some of the cheesiness.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then I guess the trick would have been explaining that these are not just people hiding out in the woods with knives. They are in fact part of the cult.
Yeah. You could do that with them just like popping up randomly rather than like walking. But yeah. The cult is the weak part of this franchise for sure. I love with the clean cameras because like in found footage movies, you have shitty cameras shaking all the time and like visual, like kind of like everything's grainy and kind of ugly. And with these clean cameras, I like the ways that they introduced kind of the like ugliness or grainy, or not really graininess, but kind of getting the same like vibes where they do a lot of really cool stuff with like light blinding out like the cameras sometimes. Specifically when I think they first go in the clown room, there's a big like window lighting up the room.
Oh yeah.
And as you're looking at the clowns, the camera's being blinded by the light at times.
Yeah, you can't see anything in that room. It's great.
Yeah. And the way they use like zooms to add graininess and all these other things, I just think is really interesting and really well done.
It's certainly an awful lot better than the usual just shitty camera, make it shake a lot kind of thing. I love how in addition to it being clear cameras, they don't shake them all the time. That's really huge for me.
Yeah. Good stuff. Does anybody else have anything else they
I
want
don't
to say?
think I have anything big.
I'm not complaining because it's very hot in my room, and I had to turn off my fan because it
Also,
shows up on the microphone.
We're at usual podcast length. We just had other things to talk about in this one. And I will say, this is one of those movies where, like, firstly, we didn't have a lot of content warnings. It's not because this isn't like, this is such a neutral movie. It's just that this is a very standard assumption horror movie thing, with the exception of, like, the things that we specified.
Yeah, it just leans hard on its own, like, tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't go into this assuming it's going to be bad like the other sequels.
It's in fact good.
It's really nice. There's a lot that works here, and if this is enough of a movie to turn around a found footage curmudgeon like Jeff,
Yeah, honestly,
because that's been like a huge sticking point between the two of us on just feelings about a couple of different movies. Because I do enjoy a good found footage movie.
Yeah.
And then I'll hand a good found footage movie to Jeff, and Jeff will be like, mid found footage next.
that is what I said.
Fair.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm just really glad, because this is fucking hell.
It's just
This is
good.
this
And
is
I
a
feel
great
like-
time.
I feel like a lot of what works the best out of all of the Hell House movies, right, is the fact that they stay committed to the documentary format. I love that as a framing for it, and the way that they commit to it. I feel like this is the one that plays it the most effectively, even.
Because this one has some soundtrack editing in it.
Yeah, I love that. I think
Which I think is great, because it adds a lot, and it also, like, there intercuts where it says things like the found film was not reviewed until after she had been missing, or she was found dead, or whatever the hell it said,
Right.
you know, after the 911 call.
Yeah.
You know, you know, they specify that, like, none of the evidence that they had been discovered yet. And I think that's great.
Yeah. I love the idea where you get a bunch of, like, film reels and video and stuff from a friend who has recently passed away, and you're kind of, like, stitching it all together and doing all of this and turning it into a big project, and you're watching it just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my friend went through this. This is terrifying. And I can add a track here that would make this so much scarier.
Oh my god, I think that clown actually kills Chase at the end of this video. I should put this scary pluck noise in every time he shows up on the video. That pluck is a really good sting for the clown, though, right? I love how, like, understated it is, but it's, like, just enough that it actually jolts you every time. It's perfect.
Yeah. It's real good.
Yeah.
Do we want to read Noah's notes?
Let's read Noah's notes.
I
Let's
think
read
it's time
Noah's
to read
notes.
Noah's notes.
Here I come. I gotta. Sorry for the listeners. I am pretty far away from Noah's computer screen for most of the recording, and then when it's time for Noah's notes, I have to scoot up close so I can read them off the screen. It's an ordeal every time. Okay.
An ordeal. Nina
We
is just like
bleed
Sisyphus,
for our craft.
pushing their chair up the hill toward the computer eternally.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, literally me. Noah says, actually hilarious that they show brutal crime scene photos. Parentheses, am I just out of touch and don't know what true crime docs look like? This is a question I had as well. I don't like true crime as a genre. I think it's really distasteful. The only true crime podcast that I listen to is Who Shed on the Floor at My Wedding.
Whoa,
It's
now.
really
It's really, really good.
I
highly
haven't
recommend
finished it, but it's great.
They're starting their second season soon. This is a recommendation.
Okay.
For the uninitiated, it's a podcast about a couple where they got married a number of years ago, and at their wedding, somebody shat on
my
the
God.
floor, on, like, the dance floor.
No, it was
and
it was in the bathroom outside of the toilet stall.
Oh,
so
okay,
it was
okay.
like
Okay.
it was on a boat. So it's a classic closed door mystery. They were in Amsterdam
God.
on a
Yeah.
boat. So it's very fun, especially the front half of the podcast. They do kind of lose as things go on. They do kind of lose their focus, but their personalities are worth it, in my opinion.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
They are very
And
funny.
they bring in, it's them trying to figure out who shat on the floor, and they bring in witnesses and, like, I haven't gotten to this part, but they bring in like experts as well and stuff. To, like...
It's so funny. I highly recommend it.
Wow, that sounds awesome, actually.
But that's that. I don't know about any other true crime shit because I think it's distasteful and also stressful. So I don't know if true crime girlies show the fucking pictures in their podcasts.
I think
maybe they do.
I think in Netflix documentaries and stuff they do.
So I feel like there's a difference between a regular crime scene photo and the horror movie crime scene photo that they show in this.
Oh yeah.
But also it made me laugh so hard when it opens up with these like wicked murder shots and with like all their gore effects on display, and I'm like, there's no way in hell they would put these in a true crime doc, right?
No way in hell. House, am I right?
No.
All right, let's keep going. Noah says, I'm not going to make it. Foreshadowing? Yeah, okay, Noah.
Hey, I said I had 4 pages of notes. I didn't say I had 4 pages of exclusively quality notes.
Okay, sure.
No, here's another quality note. Noah says, the photo of the family Carmichael.
Okay.
That's the whole note.
Okay, but
that picture looks really, really bad, actually. I took a note about it as well, actually. Let me grab my notebook.
Well, I bet your notes had some insight on top of just observing the photo.
Okay, so the first 2 notes that I took actually are my 2 biggest criticisms of the movie. At 3 minutes and 49 seconds in, I wrote a note that says, that is not a real recording of a phone call. It sounded too clean.
I will say, new phones sound way better than you think.
Sure, but it was immersion breaking for me because phones don't sound that good. But the second note that I took about 8 minutes in says, that is a very not photoshopped family portrait.
Yeah.
Noah says, Nina is very suspicious of Doug. We'll see. Parentheses, I think he's probably fine. I think Doug was incredibly awkward.
He was.
That's about all I really had to say about Doug.
To be fair, people just show up and put a camera in your face. You're not going to be at your best.
No. Noah says, 15 minutes away? What the hell are you talking about, dude? Multiple miles in the middle of nowhere, and you can get right here. Yeah, I think that 15 minutes away from...
like the big selling point of the mansion is it's like in the middle of nowhere. Goofy.
Quite. Noah says we're gonna find out that the guy who tried to lure her off was like Arthur Carmichael. Very close, Noah. It was actually Patrick, but good try.
No, this is Patrick.
Noah says, Margot, please, having all the crime scene photos laid out like this is so tacky, Lamau. Yeah, well, Margot's tacky, so.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I can't wait for us to get to a note later because I have a big reveal, but I don't want to jump ahead of it.
Noah says, poor Chase out here getting press ganged into being a camera dude to avoid him relapsing. Yep, that is what is happening.
At the time, I thought it was a drug issue.
Right.
No, relapsing into psychosis. But yes. Noah says, this is fair. Noah says, love the bed making scene. Wish it didn't have the music tingle like that to build the moment. Tingle, I don't know is the right word there, but go on.
No, tingle's the right word.
You would know, I guess.
Yeah,
just like the
that little freak from Zelda.
It's named after him.
A while ago, I texted Jeff because one of my friends is writing a book that has a musician in it, and we wanted to know if there was a better word for the hole in a guitar. And Jeff's like, no, it's just the sound hole.
Yeah.
So
did you? I seem to recall that after that I told you look up what the holes in a violin are called. Did you ever do that?
I did not. Tell me if should I look them up now?
You can go ahead and look it up first, but somebody's gonna have to say it for the podcast listeners.
Half a sec.
Okay,
so,
Noah's gonna Google it.
Yeah, the hole in an acoustic instrument to let the sound come out of it after it resonates, right? It's referred to as a sound hole typically. But the specific shape of the ones that you see on violins and certain archtop guitars has a different name. And I'm watching Noah and Nina both laugh about it right now. It seems that they've Googled it.
It is called the F-hole.
Yes. It's
anyway,
because that's the shape that it is. It's
they
like
are
a
kind of
cursive
shaped
letter
like Fs.
They're not like, they are the curses of letter F.
Well, one of
Nina.
them's a backwards F, if we're being technical.
Well, yeah.
here. Anyway,
yeah, sure. It's for symmetry. A thin
The
line
important thing here-
Telecaster only has the forward one. And I'm sure
Huh.
multiple
One
of our
F-hole.
listeners know what a thin line Telecaster is.
I would put money on maybe one of our listeners knowing
I'm
what
betting
that
it's
is.
Sean. Sean, how much do you know about
that would-
Telecasters?
Unless you know about F-holes.
You
Sean,
can't
you don't
ask
have to
that.
answer that.
Can't just ask someone about their knowledge of F-holes.
Noah says he wishes that the bed making scene didn't have the tingle. And it's also a little too edited. I don't know, not in the spirit of found footage. I agree.
It is just a little bit too edited, but other than that, I do really like that scene.
Noah says, Margot remembering these clowns from when she's like 10. That's my working theory. He's right. Noah says, this is rare. Oftentimes I don't think I get to say that he's right when he just spits out theories in the middle of the notes. Noah says, this is the bravest man ever. Like, I know he's in a horror movie, so of course I'm scared. But also, he knows he's in a horror movie because he's in a haunted house. This is true about Chase.
Yeah. And what does
Noah
he do?
says,
He picks up that camera and he says, I'm going to do something ridiculous to annoy my sister.
It's good sibling writing.
Uh-huh.
Chase's I'm going to be as annoying as possible on camera is very good, and I love him.
He's one of the brothers of all time, for sure.
He really is.
He is.
Noah says, steal from the clock. Let's go. Yeah, I forgot she just stole from the clock. That was a baller move, and she earned a lot of my respect when she did that. Noah said, God, dude, I'd be gone. I'd be so gone. Actually, I wouldn't even be here for TBH.
Yeah. Yeah.
Noah says, I love this long held shot of the hallway. I'm so fucking tense. All caps, sir, why are you following it? Chase is a braver man than me. And then I said, Margaret is killing the 80s like line delivery, not so much the other two. I hold to this. Margaret was talking like she was I've been doing a lot of 80s stuff. You guys know this. And in the 80s, especially like on film, when they were being filmed, you know how even today we have like when we're being recorded, we have our recording voice. They did that in the fucking 80s too. And it was a very specific cadence. And Margaret had that shit down. And the other two were just talking like normal ass 21st century bitches. The 80s is it? I don't know what the centuries are. It doesn't matter.
20th.
The point being 20th.
It's the
Yeah.
20th.
Yeah. So that bothered the hell out of me. Noah says, the one red clown ball is a really great things are happening cue for this movie. Yeah, it does make for very funny fan art though, because I saw fan art of the three protagonists of this movie and they're just surrounded by red balls. And I was like, I don't know that's, it doesn't really like evoke anything for me, but go off. Noah said, there are not 3 mannequins, actually, Rebecca. We haven't seen 3 yet at all, which was true at that point. Noah says, I'm actually pitting my stomach dread in this bitch. I hate these goddamn clown statues. Yeah.
As soon as she said 3 clown statues, I'm like, oh my God, are we going to get Hell House Clown?
And then shortly after, there's a note that says, it's Hell House Clown.
It's
The
Hell
boy
House
is
Clown.
back. God, I love him. A series first seeing the clown walk, and I fucking hate it. It's so horrifically scary. New line, full body tension.
Yeah.
I'm actually really, this is maybe mean. I'm really enjoying reading Noah's scared thoughts. It's kind of adorable. Noah says, oh my God, I found sheet music. It's going to be the Hell House song. All caps. It is with words now.
I kind of liked that.
Oh,
Nina, you would know that that's important and not just Paul plunking out the tunes in the first one.
Right.
If you'd seen 2 and 3 where the Hell House song is important for some reason.
Yeah.
sure.
Also, just that particular video I really enjoyed because of the specific like keyboard sound that she was using on that thing. It's got such a very particular old keyboard sound to it. And between that and like the sweater that she's wearing, it felt just really convincingly of the time. I really like that.
I did too. Noah says, I love how they keep reminding us that there's only 2 clowns and that the Hell House Clown is not approved or known. Now we're out in the woods, and there's one of my favorite things that happened during the movie, which was we had subtitles on, and when something is like screaming in the woods, the subtitles say entity shrieking.
Yeah.
And
What's with
and Noah
that?
and I were literally like, what?
Why did it say that?
Who?
I was wondering about the
What?
same thing the whole time. What do you mean entity? What?
Yeah, I still haven't recovered from that. Noah says, a Hell House cultist. Oh, two. Noah says, Margot, what do you mean by closer to the truth? New line. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I totally forgot they were here to try and figure out the murder situation.
I forgot the plot of the movie. I was so afraid during this thing. I forgot why they were in the house.
It's like that.
Noah says, distracting myself here, but I really love how all the doors have these deadbolts and chains. Clearly the manor is set up for like large group rentals or a hotel situation. New line. Holy fuck, the ball opened the door. New line. I'm not lying when I say I'm like ready to die right now. That right after holy fuck the ball opened the door is so funny to me. Noah says, Margot, certified professional, grabs the camera because she knows this is important. Margot, certified amateur, only films herself in the inside of the car instead of the house full of fear.
Yeah.
Noah says, fake chase out here. Let's go. Fake chase was one of the other scary moments that I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Of his phone texting them. Noah says, the fire wasn't supposed to destroy it. Russell Wyatt destroyed it with the power of God in anime. It's like they didn't even watch Hell House 3.
That is what happened, yeah. He harnessed the power of God in anime.
This is my favorite note because it's a question that I have as well. So he just leaves. Where did Arthur go? He evaporate?
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck happened to Arthur?
I kind of felt like the implication was he got sacrificed or something, but like...
But where's his body?
He got sacrificed.
that
They never find the bodies of the people that get sacrificed to the Hell House portal.
I assumed the guy that was whimpering was him.
Yeah, I'd follow that.
Well, fucking perhaps. Anyway, that's Noah's notes. Yay! Next week, or next time, I gotta fucking stop. How many episodes in are we?
A lot.
Next,
A lot.
Next time, we will be watching Haunt 2019.
Yeah.
Haunt.
And then I'm saying it now mostly for my own benefit as well as everyone else. After that, we're watching The Devil's Candy because I really, really want to watch The Devil's Candy.
Hell yeah.
And I'm excited to talk about another Blorbo of mine who's in that movie. So I'm pumped for that. I'm also excited for Haunt. I'm really enjoying the Haunted House series.
The Haunting of House series.
The Haunting of House
Holy
series.
Shit, the Haunting of House series. I think I watched something like that.
Let's see. For just some general info about Haunt, it is an Eli Roth produced movie, not his movie,
no.
but he's involved, so you
Okay.
can expect that level of violence.
Cool.
And there is a certain element of this where
Who directed?
if you want to read it this way, Scott Beck and Brian Woods.
I have a question about this movie, Noah, and I want you to be so honest with me right now.
Okay.
Is it bad?
No.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
Okay.
However, you can read this movie if you want to, as alternative people are inherently bad people.
We all know
You
this to be
could
true.
read it this way.
We all know this.
People who get body mods are bad is a read you could attach to this movie. I don't think it's a fair
Yeah,
one.
I saw American
but-
Mary.
Exactly. Thank you. God, what a shit ass movie.
I think I saw a TikTok spoiling this movie.
You
but
might
I
have.
I don't remember it. I feel like the person who made the TikTok didn't like the movie very much.
That sounds about right. I give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it a lot. But fair warning on that specific front in case that's something that you don't want to have take you by surprise. Thumbs up.
Good warning.
Cool. Until then, I've been Nina. I'm an artist and an author. You can find me at Nina Wolverina on Twitter And on Instagram and on Tumblr is Nina Wolverino with the 3 where the E should be because I'm stupid. I write dark fantasy and horror. I put out a new horror story a little over a week ago. I'm really happy with it. It's pretty good. It's a monster hunting story about a trans man that cannot die. And I love him very much, so please read it.
Hell yeah.
Other than that, I have also been here with my fellow host today. Who are you?
I think this is about me because I'm right here. Oh, I'm Noah. You can find me as Bubbadabad, Bubbadabad. I am on Letterboxd. I'm on Twitter. I'm doing film shit on Twitter.
Whoa.
Thumbs up. So, you know, if you want to keep up with what I'm watching, if you want to see that I'm watching Furiosa on Thursday, go to Twitter and you'll see that. Well, not when this comes out. I'll have seen
Good
Furiosa.
Good job, Noah. Great job.
Thumbs up.
I have been Jeff. You can find me on Tumblr at What Is It You Pray For and on Letterboxd at The Fakest Fan.
And I'm Emma. You can find me. Don't find me anywhere right now. I'm not really active on any of my social medias at the moment. Come hang out with me in the Discord. That's where you can find me, is Discord. But yeah, thanks so much, everybody. We really appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Goodbye.